Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
As we mentioned today in the show, it's our youngest daughter's birthday.
That's right, Phoebe.
Phoebe is 20 today.
Can you believe that, Sam?
It's one of those things that happens when your child has a birthday. You make the day all about them, and rightly so. It's a celebration of her life. Mm-hmm. And we're looking forward to dinner tonight with her without all the excitement. No birthday singing and all that.
Oh, I
at the
was
restaurant.
wondering what you meant.
At the restaurant.
Because
like
it will still be exciting, right? It just won't be.
And
is your mom still going?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course she's coming. My brother's coming too.
Okay.
But, you know, she was at the house last night. She had stopped by and was like, hey, getting to see you, you know, and we were talking about the 20 years ago, you know, the night before I had you, this is what we were doing. Taylor was 3 years old and we were doing something, a little school project for Taylor, and we were all just talking about that. And
well, they were having a little parade at school, so we were having to decorate a wagon that she was going to ride in.
Yeah, and she did. She went to that parade that morning, and then Murphy picked her, after dropping me at the hospital, picked Taylor up and brought her to the hospital, and she met her little sister, Phoebes. Wow. And but we were just telling those stories, and once we started telling her baby stories, you realize children love to hear about their story. Children need to hear their life stories from their parents or, you know, their caregivers or whoever. They just need it. Phoebe, when we just started having that conversation, she just lit up.
Yeah.
We were talking about when she was a little baby, how, you know, no baby bed could contain her. She was just such a monkey. She crawled out of everything. We couldn't keep her in a bed. And that was brand new to us because Taylor always stayed in her bed, never tried to get out of it. Mm-hmm. It never occurred to Taylor. Taylor was almost 3, still sleeping in a baby bed all the way down to, like, lowered the mattress all the way down. But Phoebe,
and you know,
everywhere. Depending
on you know, the kid, I say, you know, kid jokingly because they're both young adults, but you know, there's also that kind of interest in stories of the family. Mm-hmm. That's obviously when you're talking, you know, about their own past, that's really the thing that's most exciting. But once you start to talk about other things or relatives that they don't really remember from that age, I guess maybe it's anything that they just don't remember from that age that was going on is usually something that they'll soak up.
I just watched her though last night and just talking about her when she was a baby, telling those stories that she's heard before, but it's about identity. It's about her. Mm-hmm. So of course she's intrigued, a time that she doesn't remember. Yeah. And it's funny because it's about your family too and being a part of something, but it's also singled out to her. Things I can remember when I was a kid discovering in my parents' closet my baby book. They never took it out to show it to me, but there was my baby book. And I was like, whoa, this is about me? A life before that I don't remember, and there was all this little stuff in there, even my hair from my first haircut, this red hair in an envelope.
Yeah. Your mom has told you stories, though, from when you were little, a lot of them.
Yes, she has.
A lot of them.
I was a bad baby.
Well, that's what they say, just because you were, you know, emotional.
What I'm saying, though, is it's
fine.
Just
everybody's a little colicky at times. Right?
Screaming baby is what I heard the whole time I was growing up. But anyway, children do need to hear their life stories and the stories of when they were babies. And you don't think about that. You spend so much time going, you know, I can't believe you're 20 today. That statement will happen today.
Well, I need to go back and find the little Word document that we created back then of stories that we then, like any good intention, you know, I mean, you're going to write down as these things happen and the things that are the stories that everybody loves, but then you kind of stop doing that. You know what I mean? But I do know that I've got that, Jodi. We should go back and see what we can find from that. Now, my hope is that didn't stop with Taylor, our oldest, because it might not have. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Why don't you find that out before you whip out the sheet?
Yeah.
My first thought is if you find the one on Phoebe, please find the one for Taylor so that we, you know, kind of keep it even if possible.
It was only one document.
Oh, but if we're both in it?
No clue. I really don't. That's why I'm...
Well, either will or will not be bringing that to dinner.
The other thing with that is you're going to open it up and you read a line and it's like, does that mean anything to you, Jodi? I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
And that would be fun, even if we don't. Yeah. But there's something about that reminds them of value that they have in the family. You know, they just, I promise you, if you talk to your kids about things that they don't remember when they were little and seeing it through your eyes, the stories, they will light up. They always want to know.
Yeah. They're
It's
little,
fantastic.
I remember some random, things that my parents told me over time since I don't have either parent anymore. So, and then those stories got reinforced and told even late into their lives. It's you don't ever get tired of hearing them just because.
Yeah.
Because apparently, instead of saying I had a headache, I said I had a Heget. I remember them telling me that. Just a little bit.
And you liked it. You're smiling now. We're
Yeah,
calling
thinking
that.
about that. And then I realized I don't remember anything else that they told me.
Were you told stories, Sam, when you were little?
Yeah, but it's the horror stories.
I know.
He had colic for the first 18 months. We never got any sleep.
I know.
I
I'm
love
sorry.
you too, Mom. And your head was so big they had to choose between me or you.
Yeah,
Remember
that was
one?
the story that
Yeah.
you almost killed your mother coming
Yeah.
into the world.
Yeah.
I know.
That's why I quit. Hey, quit telling me stories.
The traumatic things jump out, but the other thing I think about, I don't have any recollection of this. Apparently, they would put the newspaper up on this dates it, huh? They put the newspaper up on the front door from the weather section, and they had me do the weather. That was pointing at the map in the weather section.
What age?
I probably was 3-4 years
Oh,
old.
yeah, and you
something
don't
like
remember
that.
doing that?
No, of course
Yeah.
not. I don't
25, 26.
Years ago during the
Okay, Mom.
years ago during the show, I remember someone calling and saying, hey, we were talking about birthdays and how, we kind of make a big deal of them in our family. Not all families do. No wrong way to do your family. But someone called us, and I will never forget her saying, and I feel like we sort of do this now based on her recommendation, is that every year on her on her children's birthdays, they tell the story of the day you were born. Even though your kid knows the story, if you've told them every year, you still do it. Even they love hearing it, no matter what age.
Yeah. Well, Phoebe's is pretty cut and dry, isn't it?
Well,
Because
I have parts that you don't have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm saying, because with
that
Taylor,
story.
Taylor being our first, you labored for 14 hours with Taylor, and then finally she was taken by section, and that was a long day. But then with Phoebe, because you'd already had the section, it was scheduled. Jodi and I went to dinner the night before. It's like, okay, I'll see you in the morning.
We made that little
Be there.
that little parade wagon thing the night before.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was telling her that last night. We were making a wagon at this time 20 years ago.
Yeah.
With Tay.
And I took, I took Taylor to school that day. We did the parade. Obviously, we got Jodi to the doctor and all that kind of stuff.
Dropped her off at the front door and kicked her out of the car.
Hey, there's something we forgot.
Once I got Jodi settled there, I went back to the school. I got, Taylor, and then we went up to the hospital together. And then I guess Taylor got to meet Phoebe for the first time in the nursery.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite pictures of all time.
And we really got lucky because there was a nurse. They talk about it at a little bit different time, certainly pre-COVID. The nurse let her go into the nursery and meet her sister, and that was
Watch her
really
being bathed.
special. Yeah, mhm.
She wasn't supposed to do that, actually.
That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, that happened while I was in recovery, so I didn't know about it until after. And I remember it was you or Mom telling me, Taylor got to go back in there with her being bathed, and it was awesome. And
But you're right about those. Just the story, that personal history thing. It's really special for any child to go back and
that
hear.
picture that I shared on our socials this morning of Phoebe, that baby picture of her where it looks like she's taking a selfie. I posted this baby is 20 today. I sent Phoebe that picture too. It's like, this baby, you're still this baby. You're always going to be this baby.
That bald-headed baby.
Yeah. And one of the things that we were talking about last night that she didn't like, she wasn't being mean to me. But I said, back then when you were a baby, I was your favorite person in the world. And she knows what I mean. She smiled. She was a mama's baby.
Mm-hmm.
She always wanted to be on my hip. Other people are okay, but she wanted me. It seemed like 24 hours a day. Like I had back problems because she was always on one of my hips, and I just got used to that life. But once she was really crawling, it was Taylor. And I even said back then, when I sent her that picture, I said back then I was your favorite person in the world. And I said, until your other favorite person took over. And I pointed at Taylor, and she goes, and Phoebe said, sorry.
I think that's another perfect example of what you're saying, though. Is that it just
Tell them
it
their
resonates.
baby
It's
story.
special. Yeah, even if they've heard it before, they can't hear it enough.
And you start talking about that with your kids, you'll remember things.
Yeah.
It's like you spark it when you say it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.